Robot. To be clear.
Are we clear?
This is not the first robot I've been in love with. Robot. And I'm talking emotional connection, not like a Cherry 2000
Give me a call if you find a cherry.
kind of deal. You know, wholesome.
Cherry 2000.
Let me bring you up to speed. I'm talking about Reggie.
Hello.
My new iRobot Roomba. I called him Reggie because I name things. I mean, I have a fern called Fergus. Yeah, that's Fergus. We have many arguments. One-sided, usually. I always win. That's why the relationship works. Robot. He doesn't like being out here. He prefers being in the bathroom, but I bring him out here for these videos and boy, he thinks he should be the star.
Fergus.
Why is he male? I don't know. No idea. I'm just weird. Anyway, enough about Fergus. This is about robots. Robot. Now Reggie. Robot. We've had no arguments yet. He did bite my foot once though, when he was like cleaning around my feet in the office. But that was unintentional. He did not mean it. Tickled a little actually. I'm being honest. Anyway, today we're going to talk about a thing I wrote about Reggie actually. Robot. And it was called I'm in Love with a Robot. And I wrote it in the form of a letter to a sort of agony aunt, like a Dear Abby
Most people just want someone to listen to them.
kind of situation. It's not actually the love thing that I'm asking advice about. It's whether I should actually go that one step further,
I don't think you're ready yet, man.
not in the direction you're thinking,
I think you're ready.
and name Reggie as executor of my will. Because I trust Reggie to distribute these records in an equitable and fair manner once I have... I don't play golf. I don't know why I made that like I'm going down some kind of fairway. Fairway to heaven. Yeah, I still got it. Like I said, not the first robot I've been in love with. Robot. There's been a lot of robot presence in my life since childhood. Let's rattle off some names, shall we? Now, these are some that I may have had affection for, and some that scare the motherboard out of me, actually. Astro Boy. K9. Metal Mickey. Obscure. That robot in Lost in Space.
You tin-plated snitch.
The Iron Giant. Marvin the Android.
I'm feeling very depressed.
What a cheerful robot he was. Of course, C-3PO and R2-D2.
Well, I'm not going that way.
Hal
That's something I cannot allow to happen.
and his love of pod bay doors. All the replicants.
Tears. And rain.
Roy Batty. Bishop. The aforementioned...
Cherry 2000.
I watched that too young. Cyberdyne, whatever the hell they were. The Terminator. I'm talking about the Terminator.
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
Johnny Five is alive.
Reassemble, Stephanie.
Cylons, both OG. Check this out. I knew I had this somewhere. Ooh, ooh. I'm quite tragic. Robot. The ones of my teen years. And the new ones that look like people but aren't people.
Are you alive?
Robot. RoboCop.
Your move, creep.
Now, as I said, I didn't love all of them. Cybermen. Get away from the machine! Or Daleks.
Speech is not necessary.
Doctor Who had a lot of robots, actually. Robot. But there were some in that list that I admired most ardently. K9, of course. I loved K9. Doctor Who's robot K9 friend. Tom Bates, would you like a jelly baby? And K9 was the best doggy. I mean, he had issues.
Insufficient data.
It seems to be a commonality that the robots we love are flawed in some way. Not in the sense that they malfunction, but more that they have little quirks that make them unique and kind of adorable.
It's much too rocky.
Actually, there was a robot dog in the original Battlestar Galactica, if I remember correctly. Can't remember what it was called though. But I'm dancing around the main attraction here. The robot, or the android, that I loved most was this one. Data from Star Trek's Next Generation. Hi Data. You're looking fine. He used to have a tricorder. Lost it. Data. I adored Data.
Ardently.
Played to perfection by Mr. Brent Spiner. And I think if we were to measure Reggie against Data, probably not a lot of overlap in terms of vacuuming. I mean, I don't think Data had any rollers in his makeup there, but could have easily been written into a script. He also had a brother named Law. Law was a bad robot. Scary. Not like a Borg. Okay, you are revealing your nerd hand a little too much today. Bad robot. Not like Data. Data was innocent and curious.
Could you please continue the petty bickering? I find it most intriguing.
And pure, perfect head of hair. I mean, there's a comfort in a certain kind of robot.
What are you looking at?
I'm not looking at anything, sir. I'm continuing to organize my files.
One that you know that's not going to flip out and lock the pod bay doors on you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Or, you know, go nuts in a boardroom and shoot up a businessman in a suit and tie. I think what got me about Data was just the emotional curiosity that he had. Like, he made you question what it was exactly that makes humans human.
The servo mechanisms in my neck are designed to approximate human movements.
It all seemed to boil down to his little emotion chip.
I hate this. It is revolting.
Every time he turned that thing on,
Humor. I love it.
and every time he tried to, manage it,
I simply do not have the ability to control these emotions.
could not do it. It was like he was a teenager. He could not control his emotions.
Sir, I no longer want these emotions.
It was beyond the realm of possibility for this incredibly intelligent, young, old android.
I believe the emotion chip has overloaded my positronic relay.
You couldn't do it, could you? Emotion chips, they're tough. Part of being human is figuring out how to control your emotions.
These seem to be the emotions with which we start life.
And if you're a robot, they don't give you emotions. They really don't want you to have too much awareness as a robot, which is very pertinent in these times of artificial intelligence and dumb chat GPT. Data made you question, the parts and pieces that made the whole of a human being. I mean, he had huge computational capacity, and yet whenever he experimented with that emotion chip, disaster. He also had a cat named Spot. R.I.P. Spot. I mean, this is not a spoiler alert. I don't think he ever died on the show, but it's been a long time since Star Trek Next Generation was on the air, and I think he's pretty dead by now.
I've written my next poem in honor of my cat.
Unless he was made into a robot. Are there any robot cats?
I am Socks, your personal companion robot.
And then there's Reggie, who's over there. He's sort of a bit under the couch there. He vacuums under the couch. It's incredible. Anyway, there's Reggie. He does not question his existence at all. He has no emotion chip. He just exists to perform his task, which is to bump around these rooms, hitting things, changing direction, and picking up bits of lint and bits of my wig. When I say I'm in love with a robot, it's the love you feel for something that removes some of the burden of life from you, relieves some of the anxiety you feel, and I feel a lot of anxiety about, wasting time cleaning. Not that it's a waste of time, I can't stay on top of it. I find it overwhelming. And Reggie, as soon as he arrived, just took that off my plate. Let me take your burden. That's why I love him. He does this to make me happy, and I am happy. Thanks, Reggie. When are you going to make me happy, Fergus? He just does it. No questions, no judgment. And in doing that, he gives me the gift of time. By removing this one simple task, I have reclaimed my time so that I can make more rubbish like this. The joy of robots, androids, automatons of all stripes, colours, shapes and sizes is that they are servile and willing. If they are not servile and willing, then I believe your robot perhaps should be destroyed.
No disassemble.
Am I wrong to love Reggie? Am I one step away from embracing robot chat GPT, which wants my gerb?
They took our job!
As always, I have no answers. You shouldn't come to these looking for answers. All I do is ask more questions. Must be something I learned from Data, to be curious. Ask a lot of questions.
So I chose to believe that I was a person, that I had the potential to be more than a collection of circuits and sub-processors. It is a belief which I still hold.
Do we love stories about robots and androids because they have always been sort of far off, a thing of the future, something that's not quite here yet, not plausible, not at that stage where it's tipped over the line of possibility. No matter how frightening we make them in a movie, they seem kind of harmless. And now, as AI edges closer to merging with a Boston Dynamics robot, Or one of those dancing robots that they have. Those robot movies are seeming less and less far-fetched. Skynet is on the horizon, perhaps. Do we love robots because they are not human and therefore something we can control or have the perception that we can control them? Well, except for the ones we can't control. If we love a robot, does that make us less human because we are forming attachments with things that cannot give us feedback that reaches us on an emotional level? Does it dehumanize us to love robots? Or does it just demonstrate defects in our psyches? Probably that one. I'm not saying I have a saviour complex, but when Reggie gets stuck on the corner of the carpet square in the kitchen, shuts off and I hear him beeping from the other room, I'm like, I'll save you, Reggie! And I come out and I save him. And that is our relationship. Whether or not I should make him executor of my will or not is a moot point. But it was worth writing a letter to an agony aunt about. Which, by the way, instead of a Dear Abby or an Ask Polly, I named my agony aunt Miss Terry. Mystery. See what I did there? Robot. What are we really replicating when we make robots in our own image? Because we're quite flawed. Just saying. We seek connection with robots who are somewhat victims of their programming. Victims is a strong word. I mean, a robot doesn't know if it's happy or not. Unless, like Data, it's got his emotion chip turned on.
Mr. Tricorder.
Do we make them subservient because that's the kind of relationships we seek in the world? We just want someone, something to yield to us. What a depressing thought that we don't want that two-way emotional connection. Why do we even make robots? Is it to make our lives easier? Or is it to have connection with something when we can't get it from the real world? Are we slowly retreating into these robotic cocoons? Are we becoming robots, glued to our little screens, living inside of microchips and circuits and our reflections in the wonderful liquid crystal display units of our phones?
Just a thought.
I'm not smart enough to ask these questions. These are data questions. Robot. Do we trust robots more with our hearts than we do other humans? Or do we just like that they clean our floors? Astro Boy was a replacement for a child, I believe. K9 was a dog for the doctor because everybody needs a pet. Robot. Reggie's my pet. What is robot? What is love? Do I really love my robot? Are we human?
Are we human?
Or are we robot? It's a mystery. Anyway, go read the letter. I'll put a link in the description. And I'll see you next week. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Do it for me, not because it's part of your programming, but because you enjoyed this. I'd be ever so grateful. Bye.